Off the cuff, here we go again. Oh shit. I don't need this to happen, but we're going again anyway. And I turn the air on. Springtime brought with it the bottom of the bottom. What? Brain, that word doesn't exist in this sentence. Springtime brought with it the bloom of new life. The Shinsugumi had renamed themselves as the Koyo Regulatory Company and departed from Edo. Sana-san and Heisuke decided to stay behind in Edo, along with what remained of the Fury Corps. My first assumption was that I would remain behind with them, but for some reason, Ichikata-san saw fit to command me to march beside the Koyo Regulatory Company. Saito-san was decided to watch over me, making this experience altogether not much different than how things had been while we were in Edo. There was one rather large change, however, which was...
Hijikata-san は新しいもの好きだからな。銃を持った奴らとの戦いにはこっちの方が都合がいいってことだろう。
着るのには苦労したけどな。特にこのボタンってやつの使い道が最初さっぱりわからなくて。
After embarking from Edo, many of the men were given a new Western-style uniform to wear. I found them rather dashing, despite how form-fitting all of the accessory and garments were compared to Japanese clothing, but everyone had their doubts. Saito-san, how do those tight sleeves fit on you? Are they hard to move in? I think these clothes have buttons instead of sashes to fasten things together. This had been my first opportunity to see Saito-san adorn his Western uniform, but I had to say, he looked quite handsome. Of course, I was a little taken aback to see that he had cut inches off of his hair, but Saito-san, rather unsurprisingly, was difficult to read, and I wasn't sure if he was upset by it or not. Saito-san, I think you forgot to button those last two right there. Maybe, but I think those two holes there are there so you can slip those last two buttons in. I think that you've missed a couple. Hearing this, Saito-san quietly dropped his eyes to peek at the aforementioned buttons on his new coat. His cheeks flushed with color as he bit his lip. I love this. This is fascinating because the Western things aren't things that they're used to, so even Saito would miss a couple of buttons. And I find it cute, but also funny. I love it. Also, I like how Nagakuro's like, what was it called? The button? Yes. I'm sorry. If it doesn't bother you, then don't worry about it. It's fine either way. Judging by his reaction, it seemed getting Saito-san to feel comfortable would be like pulling teeth. Now that I think about... Today is just not English day. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen Kondo-san around recently. Did he not join our convoy?
Kondo 局長でしたら、まだ日野のあたりにいらっしゃると聞いていますわ。
Hino?
どうせ新入り大使と宴会でもしてるんじゃないの？さく、何考えてるんだろうな。あの人、今回の甲府行きを旅行が何かと勘違いしてるんじゃねえのか？
そう言ってやるなって。 久しぶりに嫁さんや娘にも会いてえだろうし、故郷に錦も飾りてえだろうよ。
俺は別に宴会そのものに文句つけてるわけじゃねえよ。時と場合を考えてくれって言ってるんだ。
Nagakura's sour rant consequently made the mood around his general vicinity lower, especially for some of the new members. I sunk a glance over at Saito-san, who was walking quietly beside me, his stride almost step for step with mine. Although he wouldn't have been one to express much, I noticed his brows locked in a furrowed position. There was something heavy on his mind. Eventually, Hijikata-san loudly barked at the convoy to halt from the front, stopping to face us.
大丈夫か、雪村。そろそろバテ始めてるんじゃねえか。
I might be a little tired. Ugh. I'm fine, thank you.
悪いな。いきなり俺たちに同行させることになっちまって。
Oh, I don't mind at all, but I wondered... Is it really okay for me to be marching out here with you guys? I mean, I'm just a little worried that I could be a distraction on the battlefield. Hijikata-san's expression turned glum. He seemed to stroke his chin absent-mindedly, lost in a deep thread of concentration.
俺もできれば江戸で留守番させてやりたかったんだがな。今のお前を一人で屯所に置いておくのは危険すぎる。戦場まで連れてきた方がかえって安全ってもんだ。
Dangerous? Then Saito-san chimed in.
三男さんのことですか。
さすが察しがいいな。その通りだ。
Dan! What is that? Brrr. Whoops.
近頃あの人の様子がどうもおかしい。
Hi, Dan. How are you?
余裕をなくしちまってるっつうか、羅刹の本性をむき出しにすることが増えちまったっつうか。
I was unsure of what to say. I too had experienced suspicious interactions with Sana-san that left me a little more uneasy than I would have liked. Oh, yay!
お前を屯所に置き去りにしといて取り返しのつかねえ事態になっちまっても困るから。いろいろ面倒事は多いが一緒についてきてもらうことにしたんだ。すまねえな、付き合わせちまって。
No, please don't worry about me. At first, Ichikata-san's sudden orders confused me, especially because I was certainly no warrior, but... It appeared as though he had a lot to think about, which was understandable in his position.
副長、一つお知らせしたいことが。
うん。なんだ、サイト。
新八と佐野が今回の甲府での戦について多大な疑問を抱いている様子です。特に近藤局長の行動について。
Hijikata-san gave a war smile. I'm never gonna say that word right.
疑問つうより不満だろう。そりゃ俺も気づいてたよ。
Every time Hijikata gave us this smile, I'd like him. I don't know how to call that smile, that look, and I like it.
これから戦だってのに局長が宿に入り浸って酒かっくらってたんじゃ、あいつらが腹を立てるのも当たり前だよな。ただこのご時世、普 通に募集をかけたところで大使なんて集まってこねえ。酒やら給金を目の前にちらつかせて関心を買わねえとな。
What? In the past, I was somewhat ignorant of their recruiting methods, but are men who are more easily swayed by the promise of alcohol and money the kinds of men our leaders expected to fight tooth and nail for the Shinsengumi?
率直にお聞きします。副長は今回の戦、勝てるとお思いですか？
城にこもって戦えばまず負けはしねえはずだ。
城をということは野戦になった場合は。
お前は本当聞いてほしくねえことばかり聞いてくれるよな。野戦になりゃ勝つのは相当難しくなるだろう。今回の戦にあたって幕府のお偉いさんから武器や大砲を預かってきたが、薩長が使ってやがる新型の武器にはどうしたって歯が立たね
え。では今回は負け戦になると。
そうならねえよう努力はするさ。近藤さんにはなるべく負け戦なんて経験してほしくねえ。とはいえ人も武器も急もしらいで臨む戦だからな。
Hijikata-san turned her somber eyes to face the cumulus clouds breaching into clusters overhead. Then after a deep sigh, he faced Saito-san and me.
こんな話を新八や原田に聞かせるわけにはいかねえだろ。勝つ保証はねえが死ぬ気で戦ってくれなんてさすがに言えねえよ、俺でも。
This was the first time I'd ever seen Hijikata-san express a moment of vulnerability. It was so unlike him to admit that the odds were stacked against them. On top of this, how often had he found himself unable to show honesty to any of the captains, men that he spent many, many years fighting alongside? Saito-san was stoic, and he gazed back at Hijikata-san with the face of a docile servant.
お気持ちを察しします。相変わらず憎まれ役がお上手で。
それが俺の役回りだからな。
Ow. Later, we were in camp just off the trail, and within the tent, I lay awake restlessly. Hijikata-san's rather hopeless confession wouldn't stop stirring repeatedly in my head. From the corner of my eye, I saw Saito-san's sudden movement as he quietly exited the encampment. Ugh. Today has not been a good day for English. I wonder what's wrong. Did he have business to attend to? Although it would have been better for me to leave him be. I was concerned that it had something to do with his health or condition, so I went to follow him.
雪村先輩、どうしたんですか?
I'm worried about Saito-san. I'm going to make sure he's okay.
そっとしておいた方がいいんじゃね？もしかしたら副長と何か話でもあるのかもしれねえし。
If that were the case, then I'd come right back. Do either of you mind keeping watch for me? With that, I ran after Saito-san. I like this lone owl or whatever it is. Oh, no, I was just gonna say, did it stop? Where did he go? Ah, there he is. Saito-san stood alone in the middle of an open patch in the forest, silently staring towards the clear sky. The stars glowed intensely, as if they were all on course to rain down upon him, and he stood mesmerized. Owl radar! Owl radar! He was as expressionless as ever, but his shoulders slumped below the twinkle of his melancholic eyes. A lonely display, I thought to myself. Just then, I accidentally brushed a branch, rustling the leaves behind which I was hiding. I can't.
そこにいるのは誰だ？
Saito-san's sharp voice cracked the silence.
10数える間に姿を現せ。さもなくば。切る。
He must have thought I was an enemy soldier spying on him. His tone was biting, and I could hear his hand wrap around his katana's hilt. Wait, it's me! At once I leapt from behind the shrub. When Saito-san realized it was me, his expression suddenly sullen.
何故一人で陣を出てきた。先日のことを何も反省していないようだな。
I'm sorry. It's just that I had a lot on my mind and I couldn't fall asleep. And then I saw you leaving the camp, so... Saito-san hadn't reacted one bit whatsoever, keeping his stoic eyes locked on me as I explained myself. Eventually, he just turned to look at the moon, gazing quietly at the soft, tender light. Why did you come here? Did you need some fresh air? Saito-san didn't respond. Instead, he continued to stare into the sky, and his eyes thinned as if the stars were shining too brightly. Suddenly, Saito-san was consumed with thoughts that tightly coiled within his heart. I felt a little guilty for interrupting this moment of solace, but